Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Murphy booth for our last segment of the day. Martino Puccio, Matt Lasello with you once again. All right, the other team in New York, Mets, Queens, out in Flushing, coming off a disappointing season, but not that bad, all things considered, with all the season-ending injuries to Harvey, Matz, DeGrom, Wheeler, Duda. Wheeler technically never even pitched, so it wasn't season-ending. But still, he wasn't there. They re-signed Cespedes. Neil Walker accepts a qualifying offer. Yours Familia, domestic violence issue. The suspension hasn't been given out yet, even though the charges were dropped. It looks like he will be facing a suspension this season.
Do we know what he's looking at? Is it 80 games or a full year or something like that?
No, not at all. It's going to be right around where Chapman got it because he wasn't convicted for
30 games. 30.
Chapman
30
was
days?
around like 30 to 40 games, something like that. Big question mark, obviously, health. And we saw it when the Mets were healthy enough in 2015. They rode themselves all the way to the World Series. I think this team is better than that 2015 team if they're healthy because they're more experienced. They got a much better lineup. Biggest X factor to me, Travis d'Arnaud. And apparently there's been reports that he's changing up his swing and there's no more wasted motion in that swing. So hopefully he turns out to be a 15 home run guy at best with around 50 RBIs.
Yeah, gives
250, 260.
Gives you a defensive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully,
because
more
he had a
so.
very poor season last year. I think he really worried too much about being healthy. And
Yeah.
sometimes that happens with guys that are injury prone.
You compensate on overcompensate on other things and it leads to other injuries.
There's also the Conforto question mark whether to play him in center or put him down in the minor leagues, let him get some reps. They couldn't trade Jay Bruce for anybody, but for a reliever, but they did re-sign Blevins, and they just announced today that Fernando Salas is rejoining the team, who pitched very well for them.
Couple nice
down
pieces.
the stretch. I think the bullpen isn't that big of an issue as everyone thought it was. Addison Reed was one of the top setup guys in the majors last year. Did very well.
Which he'll likely take over closing duties.
He's going to be taking over closing duties. They announced that. Anyways, the Mets. Very interesting about them and their schedule is that they're playing the NL East the first full month of April and first week into May. Very big deal, all things considered, because, looking back 2007, 2008, a game in April counts as much as a game in September. It's just a different vibe around it and more urgency at the end of the season, but the games at the start of the season are just as important as the ones at the end. So I think it's very vital for the Mets to get off to a good start, finish strong. Hopefully they could survive without Familia there. The NL East isn't the strongest of divisions, improving, yes, with the Phillies and the Braves. Unfortunately, the Marlins, Jose Fernandez, passed away, so I don't think they're really going to be contending that well just due to their rotation issues. The Nationals, we know what they are. Bullpen problems, for sure. They don't really have a closer. They've made some good signings. Wilson Ramos is gone, but they've gotten Derek Norris and other guys to fill in that position at catcher. They got a great rotation. Best case scenario for the Mets, I think they can win 95 games if everyone's healthy and they're able to fill that void with Familia gone. But I'm thinking they're going to be right around 90 wins again, 92.
Yeah, I probably lowball a little bit more, maybe 87, 88.
They won 87 last year with all those injuries.
Yeah, at the moment there's no rotation injuries. Other than Wheeler.
There was some soreness.
Somebody will take a chance on Wheeler, make a trade, whatever it is.
Who knows?
So everybody, it's Harvey's healthy, right? Matt's healthy.
Everyone is healthy. Everyone is healthy right now.
And you got 5 starters because Zellman's in your 5 spot, I would assume.
Zellman and Lugo are going to be battling for that. If not, they're going to have Zellman down in AAA just so he's staying loose and he's getting starting repetitions.
I'm not opposed, not being a Mets fan, but if I were, I'm not opposed to Conforto starting the minors. Got somebody,
he needs reps.
Possibly.
There's no reason to keep Conforto on the bench.
There's no
Granderson and Bruce have only 1 year left on their contracts. Duda, you don't know what he's going to be after this year. He's playing first place. There was rumors
there's nowhere really for Conforto to start
No,
at right now,
no.
and it's kind of a waste to put him on the bench, and because which could lead to reasons why he's kind of played poorly. He hasn't had such consistent play time. He's been sitting on the bench a lot.
Exactly. And baseball's definitely one of the bigger rhythm sports.
Yeah.
You need your reps. You need to get in there. You need to face lefties in order to get better against them. Sitting out sitting out against lefties or any pitcher,
it's a bad
for
look,
that matter.
It's a bad look for a young player to be 22,
No,
23 years old and not be able to hit lefties.
Especially how well he played down the stretch
Well,
in 2015.
right. I mean, if you're a veteran, you know, you look at, Ellsbury or Gardner, just because they're Yankee examples, but or Ortiz. Like, oh, he can't hit lefties. Well, he's 38 years old. You don't really need to. But if you're 22, 23 and you're just not hitting lefties, that's a bad start to your career.
I mean,
it makes you more one-dimensional moving forward.
I think it's more of a mental thing. I think lefties think too much when they're going against lefties.
It's somewhat of a mental thing, but
it is very difficult. I'm not disputing that, but
right.
Still at the same time, you don't help yourself out when you're saying that it's more difficult to hit lefties. If you go in with a positive attitude, because baseball, like Yogi says, it's 90% mental, the other half is physical, right? So, no, it's true, though. So I think it's in his best interest to get some reps down in AAA. I mean, I don't think they're going to desperately need them. I think this is a good lineup.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be hitting that poorly in runners in scoring position because that was incredible. They were one of the 5 worst teams ever hitting in runners in scoring position up until August.
Yeah,
and they still won 87 games with the injuries on top of that too.
I think you're talking about your X factor, and you mentioned Travis d'Arnaud. I think for me, and it might be an obvious one, but I go Jay Bruce because Jay Bruce came over after having a very nice year in Cincinnati and did not play well with the Mets.
No, only the last 2 weeks he really started doing something.
But we all know Jay Bruce is far better than how he played.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the middle of the lineup guy, likely the 4-hitter, right behind Cespedes, you're giving Cespedes his protection. You have to produce way more, and he likely will. You know, he came over from Cincinnati. When was the last time they were in the playoffs?
A couple years ago.
Yeah, but
4 or 5 years ago.
But
not
generally, they're not contending.
Yeah, no.
So to go from Cincinnati and then to jump into the New York market, get thrown into a pennant race, it's going to throw you off.
Sometimes.
Regardless.
Well, there's your Bruces and there's your Cespedes.
Well, right.
There's people who rise to the occasion.
You have to expect that he plays much better this season. He's got a full season with the team and spring training and whatnot. And
he's more accommodated with them. He played in that wild card game, and I think
it's going to add a lot.
I think it's extremely important for the Mets to win this because I know they have great pitchers. I know they can put themselves in a position where they can win the one game because their pitchers are so great. But you don't want to leave it up to a one-game playoff again against the San Francisco Giants because you'll bump into Madison Bumgarner, the best big-game pitcher of all time.
You won't beat him.
No, you won't beat them. I mean, there's a chance. There's always a chance, but still, the odds of it aren't that high.
It starts from putting yourself at a better position in March and April.
I think Thor really elevates himself into a top 5 pitcher in baseball. I think he's that fantastic. I think he's that good. He's added 15 to 20 pounds of muscle. He says he wants to throw harder this year. A little scary.
It is a little. I hope he doesn't get hurt, and I like watching him play. Him too. Nice, good social media presence and good to the fans because they're good to him and whatnot. So I hope he, I've seen tons of guys. Their upper body, especially pitchers, get too big, and they can't throw. They throw the ball hard, but they can't throw the ball with the same, versatility and whatnot as they used to. So I hope that doesn't happen with him.
Okay. So really quick predictions. Mets are all healthy. This is all hypothetical. Mets are all healthy. Guys are producing at the level they're supposed to. How many wins, what place, and how far do they go?
I think somewhere around 87 to 89 wins, but a wild card spot.
Again?
I think Washington wins the division again. I think the wild card spot.
Even with the closer problem?
Yeah. I think they're figured out. Either they go get somebody. I think their offense is gonna be able to do enough. Their rotation's very good, and it should be a wild card spot for the Mets. The NL Central always ends up throwing 3 teams. I think the Pirates have missed their window, so I don't even know if they'll be around that. But you have to imagine the Cards are somewhere in there, and the Giants because you have LA out there too.
We'll see.
NL is way more difficult than the American League right now, in that sense. So. Wild card spot again though. Wouldn't be shocked if they win the division. Would not be shocked in the least bit.
I think.
But they got to stay healthy.
I think it speaks to the Mets and why I think they're better than the Nationals due to all their injuries last year and how poorly they were with runners in scoring positions. They still made a wild card spot. They still had 87 wins, only 3 less than the year before when they went to the World Series. I think it's so important for the Mets to win the division because if they get into the division, they get to throw their whole starting rotation out there. It's not just a one-game thing. The Mets are going to be as difficult as any team in the playoffs to beat when you're going up against Thor, DeGrom, Harvey. They all proven they can pitch on the big stage. Even Thor, it wasn't just a fluke in that one playoffs. He pitched. He was going toe-to-toe with Bumgarner
He was.
In that game. But it's just Matt Bum. It's a totally different animal. But still, I think they're going to be at 92 to 95 wins if everything goes the way that it should be. It's a little shaky because they're going up against the NL East through the whole first month, I said.
Which is why if Familia is suspended, that first if it's around 30 days, that first 30 days is really crucial.
It's crucial.
There's going to be at least 11, 12 to 16 games where he would have a closing opportunity. And Reed is a very good reliever, but if it's Reed closing and maybe not your best, you drop 2 or 3 maybe that you shouldn't have, that makes a huge difference come September.
But also that's why I think it's important that Washington doesn't have a closer as well.
You have to take advantage of that.
But it's not like they're getting a closer back. They just don't have one.
They just don't have one.
So I think that's why the Mets will be okay considering the suspension. The Mets definitely have a shot at the whole thing, but we'll see what happens. Things are going to have to go their way. Hopefully they stay healthy because the NL is just better and the playoffs are going to be better if they are in there and healthy. Okay, that'll do it for our season preview. I'm Martino Puccio, Matt Lasella. We'll see you next time.